Hello, my fellow journalers. So, last Thursday, I spoke about BPD and its symptoms. So, today I'm going to talk a bit more about the subcategories of BPD. I'm going to talk a little bit about BPD in relationships and soothing techniques because BPD in relationships kind of leads to that. My voice sounds kind of raspy at the moment. I'm gonna try and not stop, but I'm also gonna try and not be coughing into my microphone. But I feel like I've had a sore throat for so long now. Ever since I got the flu jab, it's like I'm just permanently ill. So I have so many regrets about getting that flu jab. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and you know the deal. If you enjoy it or think it'll be helpful for someone else, share. And if you want to make sure that you catch all my other videos, please subscribe. And if you just want to show some support, like and comment. I also hope that you enjoy the drawing. I did this a while ago actually for or inspiration of BLM. I really wanted to do something. Okay, I'm gonna have to like take a break. Can you hear my voice? Oh my god. So I wanted to do something with a bit more of a political message because I feel like it's not enough, especially in that time where we had all the Black Lives Matter stuff going on, to just be like BLM, because I feel like it's not getting any message across. I don't know, just my opinion. Um, but if anyone else wants to say anything about that, I'd love to know. I like to know other perspectives. It's kind of a really simple drawing. I will try and make the next one a little bit more interesting. But I love this photo. It was taken for uh Indian and African inspired exhibition. But enough of that. Let's get into the main part of the video. So impulsive BPD is someone who comes off as highly charismatic, energetic, and engaging. Although they tend to be more materialistic, materialistic, flirtatious, and elusive. The plain description of what elusive is difficult to find, catch, or achieve. So it's just someone that you can't quite place, basically. They tend to seek thrills and become bored very quickly. Because obviously, if you're a thrill seeker, you're just going to keep jumping from one thing to another. Impulsive borderlines thrive on attention and excitement. They often get themselves into trouble because they act first and think about it later. This can lead to substance abuse and self injurious behavior. If you don't know what that means, it just means self harming behaviors, and tend to seek approval and validation from the people around them, and seek to avoid disappointment and abandonment. And I think that it's quite clear with the descriptions of this kind of borderline why that would be the case. Um, I will speak more about it as we continue, because obviously reading symptoms and behaviors straight up like that can seem really savage. Personally, that's just my personal take on it. Because I think it dehumanizes people to a level, and this is one of the reasons why people don't like diagnoses. The next subcategory of BPD is petulant. This person tends to be unpredictable, irritable, defiant, and impatient. The other characteristics include stubbornness, pessimistic views of the world, and resentfulness. I'm about to cough again. Petulant borderlines teeter between extremes of feelings of being unworthy and anger. I suppose these are different in the sense that one is outward and one is inward in terms of feeling, and one is withdrawn and the other one is quite explosive. Which is also why if someone's described to have like a petulant part of borderline disorder, and the thing is, I mentioned in my last video, this isn't actually recognized by a lot of health professionals because it's all quite new, but the people who are well researched in their field recognize this, and this is where I got the research from, and it definitely makes sense because you'll see one person with BPD and another person with BPD and they're quite different, or it shows the stuff quite differently, and it's just more helpful for specialized doctors to know what tools to give to each person, right? I don't know if I said this already, but yeah, petulant borderlines have explosive episodes of anger, experience extreme fear and disappointment from others, but they also can't seem to help wanting to rely on people. So even though there's all these feelings around relying on others and how that's impacting them themselves, it's an impulse almost to rely on people, and impulsive behavior is another marker of borderline. They can also be passive aggressive and will also display self-harming. Discouraged borderlines have anxious attachment and codependent behavior. So those kind of go hand in hand. They become codependent because they're anxious within relationships. If someone doesn't reply to messages quickly, if someone shows difference in towards them, it's kind of hard to explain. But the little things that maybe suggest that person's not interested in the same way will set off alarm bells to them. They also tend to follow along in a group setting, but they're not as engaged within the group setting, so it's almost as if they are hiding behind groups. They also have underlying feelings of disappointment and anger, and outbursts occur due to this. So unlike petulant, where there's more explosive anger and pain that's almost written on their faces, the discouraged borderline will kind of bury that until it comes out and then bury it again. I hope that makes sense. Self-harm and suicidal ideation and actions are more common in discouraged borderlines too. They also seek approval, but tend to avoid people. They feel unworthy and can trend toward depression. So I guess the way you might picture if you fit into this category more is that maybe you've had the diagnosis of depression before, and that's kind of more of what people see in you. You're kind of more held together, and that's what usually happens to people who bury their emotions. They can get very depressed. I think that's a very interesting thing to think about, though. People who express themselves, whether that has negative why can't I find the word today? I'm just not on it. Even if that has negative consequences, they seem to bounce back, right? But the person who takes this in a lot I guess, finds it harder to really deal with it. But I would really like to know what you guys think about that. And the next one's very similar. We have self-destructive borderline. The self-destructive borderline engages in self-destructive behavior. Sorry, that's exactly what my research said. It's kind of obvious, I suppose. At times, they may or may not even be aware of its destructive nature. I think examples of this would be maybe being dangerous on the road, something simple like that. That's probably the only example I can think of. They can be bitter and self loathing. They have no sense of self and are terrified of being abandoned. They may hurt themselves in an effort to feel something, likely to engage in risky behavior like reckless driving and degrading sexual acts. I found this one particularly interesting because it highlights some reasoning behind the self harm. This one doesn't just say self harm because I suppose all of it's self harm, right? It's a banner of self harm with a bit more explanation. I find these different explanations so interesting, which is why I thought it'd be important to make a video on it. And I hope you guys have found this as helpful as I did reading it. And as promised, now I'm going to talk a bit about BPD and relationships. This is all going to be a bit quick because the video is going to end soon. I'm going to do a little bit of self-soothing as well. But if you want me to talk a bit more about stuff in my next video, because it's going to be quite short, then I am happy to do that. So I know I said I'd be doing BPD in relationships, but I just tried to do it and there's not enough time. I completely run out of time. There's a lot of things to list out. Because I also speak about tips on how you can deal with some of these things. One of which is self-soothing. Self-soothing. Man, my accent sometimes just really it throws me off, guys. I don't know how to speak anymore. But I'm just gonna go through some of the self-soothing since we have time for that, and then in next week's video, I'm gonna talk about BPD and relationships and maybe something else to do with BPD so that the video can be a bit longer because BPD and relationships probably won't be long enough. But here is one of my favorite soothing techniques. With your finger, trace from the top of your shoulder to your fingertips. I think I'll be doing a soothing technique at the end of every one of these videos. Actually, I think it fits in really nicely. So thank you guys for watching and I hope you tune in again. Bye.